Greetings and salutations, my beautiful people, and welcome to the show on my second channel known as Regarding, where I just ramble about fucking anything. Movies, music, games, life, just general stuff like that. And this video is going to be one of my shorter regardings because I'm not going to start up any discussions. I'm not going to unroot anything that I don't feel at this point needs unrooting because they're too, things in this video that can be suggested can be saved for an entirely different video, but this is basically just an open letter kind of video. Kind of. Sorry about my throat, by the way, and how quiet I'm speaking. I am coming down with something, so I'm talking very quietly. Anyway, so I'm making lunch earlier on today, and I walked past the telly, and my mum's watching something on the telly, and it's a talk show, a British talk show, a noon, lunchtime-y kind of show. I don't know if it was the news or whatever the fuck it was, I have no idea. But basically they were talking about violence in video games and does it influence everyone, blah blah, you know where this is going. But what interested me was the fact that the two people that were on the show discussing, you'd think that, okay, to get a discussion, to make it fair, we're going to get two parties, we're going to get two sides, we're going to get one side that's for the argument and one side that's against the argument. And yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's a discussion part of the show, it needs to have a fair, unbiased discussion, you know? It makes perfect sense. But here's where everything went wrong. The guy that was on there that was going up against violence in video games and influence and blah blah blah, and trying to suggest other more sane suggestions, if you don't mind me saying, he actually had not much experience with video games. He hadn't grown up with them, he hadn't played them much as a kid at all. He'd only just picked up a PS4 and he's only been playing since the PS3 era, and obviously in his mid-30s, you know, that kind of thing. And even though he was arguing against the case of violence in video games, blah 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 blah, even though he was arguing against it and doing all of us a great favour for the public, he had no experience at all. He'd done a lot of homework about the subject and he knew a lot about what he was talking about, but there was no proper, there was no genuine feel to it at all. And then obviously the person that was for the argument of, oh, video games make children kill people, obviously, she was a probably 40-year-old woman, had two kids, and had never touched a video game in her life. So, obvious shit, really. And honestly, I can see why this is, because it's a noon, weekday kind of show. People they have jobs, they have careers, they have things going on. Some people can't play video games all the time, and parents especially parents of newborn children, who have to be at home to tend after them and not be at work and everything, they're going to be watching this stuff, so they have to have some sort of relation to something. If they don't understand new technology or video gaming culture, they need to be able to relate to somebody, and that's absolutely fair enough. I completely understand why they did that. But the guy that was arguing against that notion, who hadn't grown up with video games, he wasn't, even though he was doing his hardest, he was doing his best to defend everything, but he just didn't know half the time what he was talking about, and he was trying to wriggle himself out of arguments he couldn't wriggle out of. And why is that? Because he has no connection with video games. He never played them as a child. He just played them and then come up with this theory, which is fair enough, but there was no genuine, hard to explain, no soul to it, everything he was saying. And then obviously the lady who had never played video games before in her life and just completely disregarded them, because in her words, by the way, I don't need to play video games to understand this theory. Fucking hell, that angers me too much, but let's not get into any kind of major thread here. That's what she said anyway. But that was going on, and it just made me think, okay, if you want to bring these kind of arguments and discussions into the public eye, that's fine. Do whatever you want. But honest to God, this is what the point of my video, open letter. If you're going to get into a deep discussion about this, the psychological impact of video games on culture, on children, on teenagers, get people who've played video games, get people who know what the fuck they're talking about, because it's just ridiculous otherwise. If I went onto fucking MasterChef and started slagging off all of the cooks there, saying that they were cooking this wrong, or burnt that, or done that for too long, or the texture or the taste of something wasn't right, and then I came out and said, by the way, I'm not a chef, people are going to get angry and they're going to feel ripped off. And obviously all these people that are agreeing with the lady that was for the case of video games, violence and children killers, all the people that were for her completely agree with her, which is complete bullshit. All the polls came in from like the texting, because that's how it works. You text in what you think about the subject, and then they do a percentage poll, and more people sided with her than they did the guy that was trying to defend gaming. And it's fucking ridiculous, because obviously they can relate because they don't understand what the whole point of gaming culture is, but it's fucking ridiculous because you're judging something you have no fucking idea about, and you're also saying, oh, you're making assumptions to things which, if in any other situation, would have no assumption building whatsoever. Where I stand on this topic is another video entirely, another story, but basically this video is just an open letter to all of these people that want to bring this like news and attention and awareness to the public eye, because I understand why, I completely get it, and it's important that we educate whoever needs to be educated. Again, another story, another video entirely, but this is basically just an open letter to say, if you ever want or think about having a... People are riding bikes outside. I forget it's springtime, or summertime, whenever the fuck it is, but it's still cold in Britain anyway. Yeah, if you're gonna start bringing very, very deep psychological issues that have been going on for decades now, if you're gonna start rerouting them and then pointing fingers and accusing people, at least fucking know what you're talking about, and not just from reading up on things, but actually doing these things and realising that everything that you're saying is complete bullshit unless you've actually played games yourself. Because if it was any other situation, if it was any other case at all, dog's barking, sorry, if there was any other case at all, like I said, if I went onto a cooking programme and slagged off all of the chefs and slagged off all of their meals and then came out and said, I'm not a chef, I'm gonna get slagged off and I'm gonna be in front page for being a fraud. So if I can't do that, nobody has any right to fucking criticise video gaming or have any opinion against it if they haven't actually played games themselves. So that's what my point of the video is. If you want to get these people into the discussion, at least have someone who has a connection and has built their lives or whatever, or work in video games. That's something I haven't seen before. It's always just the public. Get someone who works with this stuff, just for the for side or the against side, or for both, because I'm sure that there are a few people that play video games who are completely for the notion that violence influences children in the video games and that it should end. I'm sure there are loads of people that play games that think that, but you need to get people that know what the fuck they're talking about either way. Because then it makes it a fair discussion, and it makes it less aggravating, and it makes people look less stupid, less hypocritical, and everyone can just move on and find something else to moan about, I guess. But yeah, like I said, where I stand on this and what my personal opinions on the whole matter as a whole is another story entirely. But this is just a video to say to all of the broadcasters out there, think about what you're doing, especially with video games when it comes to that. Because if it was any other, like, if it was movies, or if it was books, or if it was like cooking, or if it was building, you're gonna get people who know what the fuck they're talking about. So why can't video games get that? I don't know, and I want you to think about that, that's all. This video has been regarding an open letter to TV broadcasters about video games. I don't know what the fuck I'm calling this video. I am Caddy, and I'm signing off.